back to Susan Dawn's Spiritual Connections. We'll move on to the reading in just a minute, but first I have a very exciting announcement that is almost 3 years in the making. I am very happy to announce the publication of my first book in a new line of books from Susan Dawn at Spiritual Connections. I'm introducing Daybreak, Daily Messages to Illuminate Your Spiritual Life. Daybreak is comprised of over 300 messages transcribed directly from our daily energy draws on YouTube. There are 3 ways that you can read this book. You can read it all the way through. You can go ahead and open it up and choose a message based on your intuitive guidance, or you can just choose a message every morning and see what calls to you. This book is yours, meant to motivate, inspire, and guide your soul growth journey. Daybreak releases on September 4th, but pre-orders are now available on my website, Susan Dawn Spiritual, as well as across all major retailers in ebook and print format. If you purchase directly from my website, you get a signed paperback copy as well as a mystery bookmark. To celebrate the announcement of Daybreak, I'm hosting a live stream event next Tuesday, August 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll gather together as a community, and I'll read messages exclusively from Daybreak for each of you. So make sure that you bookmark it in your calendars, make sure that you are checking out the pre-orders, and learning more about Daybreak at susandawnspiritual.com. Happy full moon in Aquarius, everyone, and welcome back to Susan Dawn Spiritual Connections. Welcome back to Sacred Union Energy Updates. Just welcome back. It's only been a week, but it feels like I've been gone forever. And that's the weird thing about time these days, is it really feels like everything was lifetimes ago. I was just talking to a soul sister, and I said, you know what? I can't believe the past 5 years. It feels like that was another lifetime, like literally another lifetime. And that's what happens when you go through rebirths. You become a different person, and the old energy, the old stages of your life, it almost feels like that belonged to another person, because essentially you were another person. And you grieve that old life, you grieve that old version of yourself, and that's okay. You're allowed to, because that served a purpose, that was a part of you. But as you go through these rebirths, as you go through these new cycles, these new phases, you become a different version of yourself, and you allow yourself to embrace that too. So even in the past week, it really feels like that was like a lifetime ago. I needed this summer break. I needed this time just to, number one, get ready for the book, which I'm very excited about. But number 2, just to take some time for myself. And as you guys know, even when I'm taking time for myself, I don't always allow myself to do that. But this week, I really allowed myself to embrace life and have fun, and just kind of do things that I needed to do for myself, and that included having a boundary around not working. So it was really enjoyable. I have a post on it, on everything that I experienced, including a day at the beach and some sunset walks and some beautiful naps and just some exciting stuff, just some really nice stuff that I experienced. I do want to talk about the past week first before we get into the Aquarius full moon energy. What's interesting about this full moon energy is I keep wanting to call it a new moon energy, and it's almost like the slip of the tongue, but it feels like this rebirth energy that's coming through with this full moon. It almost feels like a new moon energy because of the super moon, because of the intensity, the heightened energy from the super moon. It feels like, yes, we're letting go, yes, we're releasing with the full moon, but it feels like there's something new anchoring in here. And I feel like the Lionsgate energy, this 8/8 portal that we have coming up, is significant for that as well, because we're anchoring in to new, more authentic versions of ourselves. I'll get to that in a minute. First, I want to talk about last week. So last week, and you might still be feeling the residual effects of this. This is why we're talking about it now. You might have experienced a lot of ascension symptoms. It depends on where you are in the journey, so take it as it resonates for you. I'm going to just share my experiences. So if it resonates for you, take it as it resonates for you. If it doesn't, you can just, just file it in the back of your mind or disregard it. See however it resonates. So for myself, it was a very light energy. It felt really, really good, at least towards the end of the week. So what I experienced, you might be experiencing appetite changes, and I believe this was coming through because of lots of light codes. There's been lots of Lyran energy coming through right now, lots of sun energy coming through right now, and lots of light codes. So wanting to spend time outdoors, wanting to spend time in the sun, that hermit energy really feels like it's getting over. Now, when I say the hermit energy, that need for a kind of like hiding yourself away feels like it's coming to a close. However, you still might be called to some energy of solitude and spending time with yourself. However, it also does feel like it's a desire to spend more time outdoors in nature, grounding yourself, again, spending time in the sun, again, because all these light codes are coming through. So you might have experienced some appetite changes, especially in the lighter side. Some of you might be experiencing eating more dense foods in order to help ground the energy, like thick foods like meats and breads and stuff. But for the majority of you, you might have been more drawn to fruit, to vegetables, but I'm really getting drawn to like fruit, or you might have had a loss of appetite completely, and just kind of focused on maybe just water, hydration, stuff like that. For myself, it was like a complete shift into just wanting fruit, and if not fruit, then just drinking water and not much else. There was a loss of appetite, but it didn't feel like a loss of appetite. It was just like, it just felt like I had everything I needed to sustain myself. There was also an unusual chattering of the mind. Now, this didn't feel negative. It didn't feel like thought spirals. It just felt like a lot of, like the mind wouldn't turn off. And this might have given way to some insomnia at night, where you were up maybe thinking, maybe, kind of planning, strategizing for the next day or for work or projects or stuff like that. So again, it doesn't feel like a negative thought spiral. It doesn't feel like it was chatter in like a negative way. It just almost feels like a restless kind of energy. Now, there was a restlessness without, but there was a peace within. So it's almost like there was this insomnia and again, this kind of like mind chatter where the mind wouldn't turn off, but there was also this energy of a lot of peace felt within, a calm sense underneath, a calming sense underneath the surface. So it does feel like what I'm getting now is, I think we've had this metaphor before. If you have a cup of water and you have some dirt in it, it's like the light codes are filling up the cup with water, with more water, more water, more water to clear out that dirt that's in the cup. So that's what it feels like. The light codes were coming in, and maybe that little bit of dirt, that debris, was the mind chatter that was just kind of releasing. So if you're experiencing that now, be very patient, be very kind, be very compassionate with yourself. Don't judge it. Just allow yourself to observe it and release it. Don't cling to it. Don't attach to it. Definitely don't create stories to it. Again, this does not feel like a negative thought spiral. It just feels like some insomnia. Even during the daytime, it's like insomnia during the daytime where it's a little bit like restless. There might also be nostalgia that's coming to the surface as far as relationships, love, first loves. Venus is in retrograde, and that is what it's really calling for. You might actually have exes come back into your life or come back into your thought process, into your energy field in some way, to continue to release old energy. Any beliefs that you still have attached to love and relationships that they might have showed you, or that might have been created with them. It doesn't have to be romantic relationships, although I feel like that's at the forefront. It could be other friendships, could be family relationships, things like that. But it does feel like there has been some nostalgia coming up to the surface for how do you view love? What are your beliefs around love? What are your beliefs around relationship? Are those beliefs still serving you? That kind of thing is coming up to the surface. First loves, previous loves, things like that. The subconscious, what did I have here? Subconscious integration process, not, oh, okay, yeah. So I had to read my handwriting. I can't read my handwriting. So this is a subconscious process, and I had experienced this last week because I could feel the energy was moving. I could feel beliefs were shifting. I could feel stuff coming up to the surface to be shifted, to be transformed, transmuted, and changed, especially when it comes to beliefs around love. What do I value? How did I view love in the past? How did I receive love in the past? That was especially what was coming up to the surface for me. How have I received love? And how do I want to receive love going forward? What are my values? And really cementing that in for myself. And it was more of a subconscious process than it was an active healing. In the past, on this journey, we've done a lot of active healing. Maybe this was meditation or journaling or some kind of processing of the energy. This, you can feel the energy moving, but it might not be as visceral. It's because this is an integration process. It's an integration time. And that's where they're saying the Lionsgate energy is really helping, because the Lionsgate, again, is anchoring into the new version of you. And so anything that doesn't fit that new version, the higher frequency that you've lifted into, the new beliefs that you've created for yourself, or I should say, any old beliefs that are not in alignment anymore. Again, those beliefs might have served a purpose in the past. They might have, they were created from some experience, and that might have served a purpose in the past. But that doesn't mean that it has to carry forward. Or there could be a belief that you are more cementing in, that you're having a higher understanding of, a deeper understanding of. So it's all about integration. It's all about anchoring in. And the Lionsgate is supporting this. Venus retrograde is really bringing stuff up to the surface with regards to love to help support that. Because when it comes to relationships, it's all about how that reflects your own self-love. And so it's anchoring more of that energy in. So let me know how you guys have experienced the past week. Let me know how you guys are faring now. It's been a while since we've talked. I do want to read to you what I had channeled today with regards to the super full moon as well, before we get into the reading. So I said, today we have a super full moon in the sign of Aquarius, happening during the Lionsgate energy. Aquarius is a sign of freedom and liberation, of paving your own path and being true to who you are. With the recent astrological support, particularly the nodal transits into Aries and Libra, we've been feeling this anchoring into our authentic selves more than ever. And again, that is what you might have been feeling a little bit more of last week, especially as Venus has gone into retrograde, to ask you to reflect on past relationships, on beliefs around love, beliefs around yourself, beliefs around, connection, just allowing yourself to say, how do you give and how do you receive love? And is that still in alignment? Is that still your truth? Is that still resonating with the most authentic version of yourself? Because this time right now is all about authenticity. It's all about becoming not only the best version of yourself, but the truest version of yourself. And I've been joking that I really feel like I'm anchored into that, and I am anchoring into that, where it's almost like I'm in this stage of just free to be me. That's a song, Free to Be Me. I don't know if it's like Bruce Springsteen or something, but it's a song that they're bringing through. And that's what it feels like, just being fully free to be yourself and to accept yourself and to love yourself and to choose yourself, and knowing that you're in alignment with that. So we're going to talk more about that in future readings, the authenticity, the Aries and Libra nodal transits, and what that really means for everybody. But that's what this energy is all about. It's all about anchoring into your sacred self. They're reminding me too, I had been called to share the Lionsgate reading or channeling from back in 2021. It was called Integration, Embodiment, and something of the sacred self, something. I did post it, and I encourage you guys to check that out, because even though it was channeled 2 years ago, it's especially pivotal right now for everything that we're experiencing. And sometimes I do channel ahead, or these readings are timeless, and so it'll still resonate. And that channeling was especially pivotal when it comes to standing up for yourself, speaking up for yourself, really embodying your sacred self. And what does that mean to embody your sacred self? So to explore all of that, I really encourage you guys to check out that Lionsgate reading. I'll put that in the description box as well. But we'll talk more about authenticity and the liberation and the freedom that comes with that many of you might be experiencing going forward. So we said that Aquarius is like the older sibling leading the way and giving us the push and the permission to keep stepping out of our comfort zones and claiming our personal power. With the additional influence of the Lionsgate energy, you're being called to integrate everything you've learned on your journey so far and embody your highest self as the timelines shifts occur. And timelines are absolutely shifting, and you can see it and you can feel it. You can see it now with your physical vision in your physical world, just in maybe how people communicate with you or how people interact with you or in how you're interacting with others. You can see it in perhaps opportunities that are coming into your life. You can see it in the relationships that you're having, new relationships that are coming into your life, more soul family, more soul community, and how that's being nurtured and built. With opportunities, it could be new jobs that are in higher alignment, or maybe it's a higher pay. Maybe it is recognizing your value. Maybe there is travel or location moves that are more in alignment with your dreams that are manifesting. You're actually beginning to see that in your physical world. Now, it depends on where you are in your journey. So if you're not seeing that yet, that could mean that there's just more alignment. It could just mean that maybe you have to shift a belief or a perspective, especially if you're feeling held back in any way. That's the internal work. And I encourage you guys to check out the Healing and Harmony series because we do a lot of shadow work there. And I just posted the Unveiling the Shadow that provides a lot of exercises to help you with that shadow work to see where you might be triggered and how to heal through the triggers, or where you might need to shift your perspective, where you just might need to love yourself more, choose yourself more, anchor into more of your highest self. And well, I'll just keep going. So everybody's path might look a little bit different, but keep doing the work. Through the work is what creates the transformation, and that transformation is what changes your entire life and for the better. So we said if you've been in resistance to your expansion and the transformation that unfolds, and again, it unfolds first within and then in your physical world, this might be a more challenging experience. The super full moon heightens the intensity of this cosmic support. So that push from sibling Aquarius might feel more like a loving shove. Radical honesty and self-awareness will guide you through this journey. Ask yourself what is still holding you back from where you want to go or who you want to be, who you truly are. How do you want to embody the highest version of yourself in your life, and what will it take for you to do so? Where haven't you been in alignment, and what changes do you need both internally and externally in order to shift this? Keep seeing where the patterns are showing up and allow for any triggers to become opportunities for growth. Now, Spirit's coming through with a message and saying, yes, it feels like it takes work, because it does. But the work becomes easier. The only reason why it feels difficult or challenging is because our egos come into play. Our egos like to live in that comfort. And when you're doing your shadow work, when you're doing your growth and your self-awareness work, you're stepping out of the ego. You're being pushed out of the comfort zone. And so that's where it might feel like a challenge. But the more self-aware you are, the more that you do this work, the easier it becomes. And the more it just, again, integrates and anchors in, and the more natural and organic it feels, the more natural and organic it becomes. It's like a skill, like you're learning any skill. You know, there's the beginner phase where you don't negate yourself or criticize yourself for being a beginner. You don't know what you don't know. And the more that you go along, the better you become at that skill, because you put in the practice, because you put it into practice. They're correcting me. And so it becomes easier and easier and easier. And that's what this is. It might feel like work, but it's only because your comfort zone likes to keep you kind of stuck where you are. Your ego likes to keep you stuck where you are. And your ascension journey is all about transcending that ego. And ego can be a tricky thing. Ego can show up in a number of different ways. Ego can look like self-sabotage. It can look like avoidance. It can look like some kind of self-deception. It can look like comfort. It can look like comfort. So keep allowing for that expansion within you. And again, I have a number of resources both on my website and here for free on the YouTube that can help you with that. And if you want to know more, feel free to send me an email and I will help you navigate resources that might help you with your particular situation. Okay, then we said, so that's for one group, if you're in resistance and you're having trouble. For others, if you've already been in a state of surrender, the energy is going to feel like a warm hug of support and guidance to keep you moving forward. Your work will be to continue releasing the old by making minor adjustments within the self and or your life. You're in alignment and walking your path, but now you're simply clearing the debris of the old energy that might show up here and there. This is the tweaking that we've been talking about. This is the little adjustments that we've been talking about. You've done the majority of the work, the hardest part, and so now it's like, okay, maybe this triggered me. So you're becoming more aware, okay, this was a trigger, so now what's the pattern that I need to shift, or what is this showing me? And it becomes easier and easier and easier because your awareness of yourself just grows. What's happening, essentially, they're saying, is your consciousness grows. And as your consciousness grows, it becomes easier to shift patterns, shift habits, shift behaviors. You're not feeling so stuck in old versions because of the expansion that's happening within your very consciousness. So what I was seeing was a visual of a road with some twigs, branches, maybe even a few logs. Remember that you have the tools, resources, and self-mastery to transmute this old energy and overcome any of those challenges or obstacles. So this group, you're walking your path. You're in alignment with your path. And so the energy is feeling really good, really juicy. You're really excited about life and everything that's coming to fruition, everything that you're manifesting. You are just in alignment. And yes, there might be some obstacles in the way. Yes, there might be some old energy and sometimes even some regression. But again, you don't criticize yourself. You become aware and you course correct. Your awareness is your greatest tool that you will ever have, because by bringing it to your consciousness, bringing it to your conscious state, you allow yourself the ability to choose different. You allow yourself the ability to change. It's when you repeat old patterns, even being aware of those old patterns and continuing to repeat it, that's when you hold yourself back. That's when you keep yourself stuck. So your conscious awareness and choosing differently or allowing yourself to transmute that energy is your greatest kind of superpower. So don't avoid or ignore any of these challenges or obstacles. They're in your awareness for a reason. What is it trying to show you? How can you continue to shift into your highest version of yourself? Through your awareness, you continue your growth. Okay, so let's see what wants to be said for this super full moon in Aquarius. We're going to do a Sacred Union energy update today. I don't think we're going to have an extended for the Patreon, but Patreon subscribers, happy August. We're going to have a community post up so that you guys can continue to build and communicate with each other. There's connections with each other. It's a beautiful community. We had an amazing live stream for the Ascension Connections tier on Sunday night. Thank you all who joined. Beautiful community. We're going to be extending that community there as well. I'll have some more mini readings and Sacred Union energy updates and stuff for you throughout the week and especially throughout the month, so stay tuned there. We're going to be looking at the divine masculine, divine feminine, and the union energy. So let's go ahead and pull for the divine masculine. When it comes to this full moon in Aquarius, what do we need to know? Think it through. Divine feminine. Find a balance. And what do we need to know for the union energies? Reveal what needs to be seen. Okay, I'm going to start with the union energies because that's what's coming in first. I feel as if there's so much that's happening beneath the surface that maybe you or your counterpart or both of you are not quite aware of yet. Now, I do want to pause here and say, take these messages however they resonate for you. You can take them if you're a divine masculine, if you're a divine feminine, for your connection, for your inner masculine and inner feminine, or for the global collective because the planet's going through an ascension as a whole as well. You can also take these messages, read, for the other person, for your connection, so you can have more compassion and understanding of what they might be experiencing, what they might be going through on their journey. So take the messages, of course, always as they resonate for you, and just disregard it if it doesn't. So there's been a lot of underneath the surface energy that's been going on underneath the surface. And remember when I said that last week it really felt like we were processing a lot of energy, but it felt more subconscious. I could feel the energy moving, but it almost felt like I was just allowing it to process by itself. I didn't need to be doing any of the active healing. I just did some meditations. I just sat with myself in the sun. I went swimming. I zenned out at the beach, that kind of thing. It's because there is a lot that's happening energetically, and you're integrating all of it. And so within that integration, you're still being human. You're still being a part of a physical process of being human. You're still having your very human experiences. And that's what integration is. It's bringing that spiritualness, that spirituality into physical form, into your human self, and embodying as a human your highest self. And so there's a lot that's happening beneath the surface right now that I don't feel like you might even be aware of. And that's where you surrender and trust in the divine unfolding of things. You can't control outside experiences. You can't control the world. You can't control the universe. That's God's job. You can control yourself, how you react, how you respond, your emotions, your thoughts, etc. You can control within yourself. That's your own self-mastery. So I feel like there's a lot that's coming or will be coming to the surface, more that's going to be revealed with regards to the unfolding of your path, with regards to your own inner transformation, and possibly even within connection. Now, we've been channeling for a couple of months, maybe even the past year, that there's a lot that is happening within these connections. For some, the original counterpart is the person that is your counterpart and is going to be coming through in a much more transformed way, a different version of themselves. And that's where we've been channeling that. It's going to be like you're going to have to get to know each other all over again, because you are different versions of each other. And you've cleared out the past within yourself, within your own experience, within your own life. And you'll have to do that within your relationship as well. And allow yourself to accept that you're different versions of yourself, and allow yourself to embrace the new versions of yourself without holding on to the past. And not just the past with each other, but some of you might have actually brought past relationships into the connection subconsciously, through projection, through blame, through beliefs, etc. Subconscious. It was all subconscious. Again, you don't know what you don't know, so be very kind, understanding, compassionate with yourself and with your counterpart. For others, you're meeting new counterparts who are really in alignment with the energy that you're in. Not that the original counterpart isn't, but for some, the original counterpart may not be the person that continues your journey with you, and that is through free will. Maybe it's because they ended up being more of a karmic partner, or maybe it's because they chose a different path for themselves. But you, if you're resonating with the sacred union path, then you will experience that union with a counterpart, and maybe somebody different than you had experienced. And many of you are saying, yes, it's the original, or many of you are saying it's somebody new that has come in as a high-level soulmate, or even as that divine counterpart, that twin flame connection. Now, release the labels. The labels really don't matter. There comes a point in your journey where you begin to understand that the labels really don't matter. It's the energy. You feel the energy of the person, of the connection, and that's what you tune into, and that's what you trust. The labels don't matter. Don't attach to somebody just because you call them twin flame, just because you call them whatever. Allow yourself, or don't be afraid of a high-level soulmate connection just because you're calling it a high-level soulmate connection. It's going to feel really familiar, at home, really high vibrational, really good to you. It's going to feel really good to your nervous system. It's going to be really uplifting because you've reached the level of higher heart ascension where it's almost like you've cleared so much of the shadow, and now it's like you're working in the light. And it's not to say that you won't experience challenges or obstacles or difficulties with this person, but now you're going to be working through the light. You're going to be working to uplift each other, support each other, encourage each other. It's going to be a very maybe different experience than you had in the past. In any past relationship, actually, is what they're saying. In any past relationship. So I've talked about that in previous readings. I've talked about that in the Twin Flame Truth channelings. So I'm not going to go into all of that teaching today to reiterate that. But know that everybody is on a little bit of a different path. You know what resonates for you. So just trust whatever it is that resonates as your truth. But I do feel like there's going to be more that I'm hearing the word sight unseen. So it's almost like the knowing that you have in your heart, you might not be able to see it yet with your physical eyes, but that's where belief really comes in. And I feel like I'm getting the Lionsgate energy as really pivotal. And then over the next couple of weeks and over the next couple of months, there's going to be more physical presence. You're going to maybe have communication or conversations or meetups or some kind of clarity that's going to reveal what's been going on beneath the surface. What's been going on. If you're not in contact, maybe there's going to be something revealed as far as this is what was going on in my life, or this is how I've been changing and transforming, or this is who I am now, and this is how I've been growing, or whatever, this is what I've been experiencing in my life, whatever. There's going to be more that's being revealed because there's so much underneath the surface that has yet to be revealed. So I do feel like there is, as far as the connection, again, more going into alignment, puzzle pieces kind of falling into place that might not make sense to you right now because you're not seeing the big picture, the full picture. You're not really understanding where it all leads, but that's where you have that faith, and that's where you have that trust. That's where you have that surrender, and just allow the journey to unfold in loving capacity, and it will be revealed. It will be revealed. All is always revealed in time. So that's what's happening with the union energies. The divine masculines feel like they're in their headspace, and I feel like I feel it's almost like a continuation from previous readings where they're contemplating the connection, thinking about the connection, only this feels like a deeper dive. I feel like the divine masculines have experienced, or they will experience, but they have experienced, for the majority of them, a tower moment. Now, the tower moment doesn't have to be like a complete shakeup of their physical world or their internal world. However, I am getting the energy of rebirth, and it's interesting because as I was driving today, I was getting a lot of signs with regards to divine masculine, because I was hearing music and I was getting a lot of signs, and I said to Spirit, what is this? And they said, well, you're going to be doing a reading, aren't you? And I said, okay, should I remember this? And they said, no, we'll bring this back, and they're bringing it back now. So I feel some of the signs that I saw, the music that I heard that Spirit asked me to pay attention to was the song Trouble by Coldplay. And I feel like with that song, it's like there's this contemplative energy, almost like the Hanged Man energy, like a belief is shifting, a perspective is shifting. And again, we've been getting that over the past several weeks, the past several months, but I feel like that's really anchoring in. And like I've been channeling months ago, by the Lionsgate energy, something's really going to shift, something's really going to anchor in. It's almost like there's been these hints of new ideas, these hints of new perspectives, but that's really going to anchor in. It's going to, for some, it's going to hit them like a ton of bricks. It's going to be like if I could snap my fingers like that. They're going to wake up one day and they're going to be like, oh my God, I got it. And it feels within the heart space. They're going to feel it within the heart space, almost like as a flood of love. And anyone who's in resistance to that, they're going to feel the resistance, and they're going to feel the pushback from the universe. And that's where the tower moment's going to come in, and that's where it's not going to be pretty. There's energy of needing and wanting to surrender to the love, because that's where their soul is calling them. And I feel like what's happening is there's some shifting perspective with regards to how they treated themselves, and that reflected in how they treated the connection. If they have not been treating you with respect, if they have been treating you unkindly, without compassion, or cruelly in any way, they're beginning to realize that their behaviors were not in alignment with their true nature, that their behaviors, their words, their actions were not in alignment with their highest self. They're beginning to understand that. There is a lot of shame, regret, and remorse around that, and I feel like they have been hiding from that for a long time. Trying to avoid that, because that's a heavy emotion to work through. Shame is a heavy, heavy experience, but they have to release it, because otherwise it becomes like poison within them, and it just kind of continues to grow and grow and grow. And it's almost like what I'm seeing is it reflects in other relationships outside of themselves, in their family relationships, in their friendships, etc. I feel like they're really taking a hard look at their life, and something is really changing. I'm hearing, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to live my life like this anymore. And they're beginning to understand that they have a choice, that they don't have to live the life that they were living, or the version of themselves that they were living, that they can expand, that they can grow, that they can change, that they can shift. It doesn't mean just completely, running away from everything, but it means building in a different way. And that starts with building within themselves. It starts with changing their perspectives. So there's a lot of thought processes that's happening for the divine masculine right now, but it's not a thought process as in like a heavy energy. It's a thought process towards their future. What is it that they want to create? What is it that they want to manifest? What is the life that they want to live now? And I feel like this connection plays a huge part for this. We'll get a little bit more to that in a minute. The other thing that I want to mention too, as I was driving, as soon as the song ended, I was brought to my attention the truck in front of me, and on like the wheel flaps there was a phoenix energy, and I think it was like Phoenix Engineering or Phoenix Construction or something like that. And that's the divine masculine energy as well. There's a rebirth that is occurring for them, and the phoenix energy is, the phoenix goes through that rebirth. The phoenix actually dies, an old part of themselves dies off. And I feel like for a very long time the divine masculine was stuck in that die-off. There was an old version of themselves that was trying to clear, but it's almost like they were holding on to that for so long. But now what's happening as they surrender is they allow themselves to be reborn. They allow themselves to nurture the kindling of their very soul, and that spark within their soul gives birth to a new version of themselves. But they have to surrender, and I feel like that's what's happening. They're surrendering that. It's been very, very difficult for them to face that part of themselves, because number one, again, their behaviors, their actions, their habits, their words were not in alignment with their true self. But it's almost like they didn't know how to shift that. They didn't know how to transmute that. They didn't know how to change that. And so they continue to project their wounding. They continue to project their pain. But that's their responsibility to shift. That's their responsibility to change that if they want to create a different life, a better life for themselves. If they want to be a different version of themselves, they have to do that inner work. And they're beginning to understand that it all comes from within themselves. And that it's nobody outside of themselves that can change that but within them. So there's a huge kind of thought process that's going on here, and because of that, they might have thought that they were enlightened or expanded, or that they kind of understood the workings of themselves, the workings of the world, but what's really happening is they're expanding beyond what they even thought was possible. And that's what evolution is. That's what ascension is. This is a journey. There is no final destination of this journey. You keep expanding. It is infinite. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. You keep growing and growing and growing, and becoming better and better and better versions of yourself, and feeling more liberated, and feeling more free, and feeling more love and more compassion. And it fills you up, and it's like, oh my gosh, can I possibly feel more love? Can I possibly be more full? Can I possibly feel more free? And Spirit's like, yes. God's like, yes, you can. Just keep going. Keep going. It just keeps going, because it is infinite, because God's source is infinite. The universe is infinite. And so they're beginning to understand that in some ways they might have been limiting themselves too. So interesting energy. We'll get a little bit more about that in a minute. So for the divine feminines, we have find a balance, and I'm getting like the balancing of your life and your spiritual life. And I feel like that's been coming through for a couple of clients lately. where it's like, make sure that you're putting into practice like your spiritual practice. I'm actually getting like, go back to the basics. And this could be like meditation, or journaling, or walking or exercise or something like that, but mindful exercise. And what I mean by mindful exercise, I mean like meditative exercise, or like maybe like yoga or stretching or something like that. Putting it into practice, because that's part of your integration and that's part of your anchoring in. There's a new path, Divine Feminines, that's unfolding for you as well. And I feel like, remember when I said that it was almost like there was like you're on your path, you're in alignment, but there might be like some debris in the way, might be some twigs or some logs or some branches or some stuff like that. So it's almost like the path isn't completely clear, but I feel like with every step, it's like you're clearing the way. They're showing me a visual of like a video game. And it's like you're walking along and you spot something in the road and you're meant to clear it so that you can keep walking, that kind of thing. And so I do feel like you're continuing to clear your path, you're continuing to clear your energy, and that's where the spiritual practice is going to be really helpful for you. And the more you do this, the more you're going to come into balance with yourself and more into that beautiful union with yourself, because that's what that balance is. That balance is that union with yourself. So there is a new path that's unfolding for you, and I feel like you don't entirely know where it leads, and that's okay. That's part of the beautiful mystery. That's part of the beautiful surprise of the universe. So you're meant to be trusting the universe, because the universe, like, that's part of your very soul. You're meant to be trusting in your soul. Your ego likes to control. Your ego likes to have that certainty, and that's part of the human condition. But the more that you let your soul lead you, the more that you let the universe, God, guide you, the more that you trust in that unfolding of the path, and that's where your life becomes magical and beautiful and surprisingly adventurous in beautiful, wonderful ways. And so there's this beautiful path that's unfolding, and again, there might be some residual debris to clear, to look at, some shifts and transmuting to be done, but I feel like you're in a really good position of balance within yourself for this new cycle and this new phase to begin. And I really feel like this new cycle and phase has begun. There might have been a point within the past couple of weeks or the past couple of months where you really felt a door close on the past. You really said, you know what? I can look through the window at the past. I can allow myself to reflect. I can allow myself to feel gratitude and appreciate where I've been, to take those lessons and move me forward, to take those experiences and say, okay, I know what I went through. I know why I went through it. Or even if you don't know why you went through it, to use those as opportunities to keep moving forward in some way. You can look through the window of the past, but that door is not open anymore. And so that's where you're allowing yourself to have shifted, and you're embracing that new version of yourself. And that's where a new life is being created, because it's a new version of yourself, so new life naturally follows. Really interesting energies. All right, let me see for a moment what deck we want to use. Interesting. I'm getting called to the Wise Dog Tarot. So we're going to hang out with the puppies. Interesting, interesting, interesting. All right, what do we need to know? What do we need to know? Okay. Well, didn't even ask the question. What do we need to know for the Divine Masculine? All right, what do we need to know for the Divine Masculine? Let's ask the question, what is shifting for the Divine Masculine now? What's shifting for the Divine Masculine? We have the Empress. There's a transformation that's happening for the Divine Masculine. A couple of years ago, months ago, I don't even know anymore, we had channeled that what's interesting about these connections is that you have both energies within you, right? And when you're walking the sacred path of ascension, you're walking with a partner, and that partner shows you the other aspect of yourself. So you have a core masculine and a core feminine essence, and you're embodying, especially if you resonate with the term twin flame, divine counterpart, whatever you call it, you're walking this with a counterpart. You're walking this with another person. Two bodies, one soul, essentially, one essence, one core essence. And so what happens is you embody either a core feminine or a core masculine energy. But you have both within you because you're still whole. You're not lacking in anything. The other person, you're not lacking the other person. You're not absent of the other person. That creates that separation energy. You're not lacking anything. So, but you have that core essence. And then when you come together first in your inner union, you recognize that you have both the divine masculine, divine feminine energy within you. That has always been within you. You've always been in union. We channeled that reading as well. You've always been in union, and you're remembering that union. But as you come into that inner union, you also experience that within a sacred union, within your physical world, within a divine partnership or a relationship, if that is what you want, if that is what your soul chooses. And so you have a core feminine or a core masculine essence. But again, you have both the feminine and the masculine within you. So the divine feminine, as she's gone through her healing journey, she's been learning how to feel more secure, more stable, more safe within her own inner masculine energy. The divine masculine, as he goes through his inner journey, he learns to become more expressive, more intuitive, more trusting of his intuition, more acknowledging of his emotions. Previously, that had been suppressed within the masculine. Just like previously for the divine feminine, she was made to feel insecure, not enough within her masculine energy. So, and that shows itself in wounded natures in many different ways. What's happening or has been happening for the divine masculine is as they have been allowing and acknowledging the feminine energy, healing the feminine energy within them. And that can look like healing feminine energy, not just within the connection, but within other areas of their lives, especially when it comes to mother wounds, especially when it comes to like the feminine energy, the mother energy, the divine mother energy. When I say the divine mother, I mean the mother aspect of God's source. Tapping into that divine feminine energy, that the feminine aspect of God's source. They're doing healing on the feminine energy within them. And as the feminine energy is healed and rises within them, then they really anchor into their core masculine energy. And that's when the masculine energy within them rises. That's when they become the divine masculine. Again, we've talked about this ad nauseum on the channel. You can search for divine masculine rises. You can search for some of the teachings there. I can point you in the direction if you'd like of some of those readings. I don't want to get into that ad nauseum here, but what I'm feeling here is with the Empress is they are anchoring in the feminine energy within them, healing the divine feminine energy within them. And I feel like they're really calling to you, divine feminine, their counterpart. They're really feeling the connection in their soul, in their heart. And I don't feel like they want to avoid that anymore. I don't feel like they want to be apart from that or separate from that anymore, because they were just creating separation within themselves. They're recognizing that as well. They were just creating separation within themselves. But as the divine masculine energy rises within them, and divine masculine energy is stability, structure, consistency, presence, directness, decisiveness, confidence, courage. There's a huge energy of courage that's coming through with this Lionsgate for the divine masculine. And this confidence and courage is not egoic arrogance. There's a difference. You can feel that in the energy. There's a difference. This is self-authority. This is self-understanding, self-awareness, and what comes from that self-awareness. It's a beautiful, beautiful energy. These divine masculines that are rising, that are present, that are here, it is a beautiful energy to experience. It is a beautiful energy to see, a beautiful energy to feel. So I feel like the divine feminine energy is very present right now with the divine masculine. And that's helping them to rise further and further into their divine masculine energy. And that's where you support each other. If the divine masculine would learn to surrender and trust in the divine feminine, the true divine feminine essence, not the wounded feminine, but the growth that the divine feminine has gone through, understanding who she is, trusting in who she is, not projecting any of the past feminine energies, just like the feminine had to experience that as well, experience that learning, experience that growth. As they do that, they recognize that the feminine always loves, supports, and encourages the divine masculine to be the best version of themselves. And that gives each other strength. Love is meant to support. Love is meant to encourage. Love is meant to uplift. And when you're in that loving energy, that pure loving energy of support and encouragement and uplifting, everything feels possible. That's where your liberation is. That's where your freedom is. That's where you're able to become limitless and infinite. It's the love that you have within yourself, for yourself, and the love that you have within your connection with each other. And we've always said that the more that you anchor into that love with each other, the more that has a ripple effect. First within yourself, yes. Then within your relationship, your sacred union. And that has a ripple effect and affects the whole world, because that ripple effect is oneness. And that love expands into that oneness, so that you pass on that love, you share that love, you share that upliftment, that encouragement, that support with everybody around you. Love is magnifying. Anything else we need to know for the divine masculine right now? Red roses might be significant. I'm just getting drawn to that. Red roses might be significant for somebody. Might be a symbol for somebody. Four of Wands. This divine masculine wants union. There might still be resistance within the ego part of themselves, but their soul is calling for union. Their soul is calling for that love, for that balance, for that support, for that companionship. But it's not companionship as in what we've known companionship to be in previous paradigms, previous templates. This is that Jesus-Mary union. This is that Osiris and Isis companionship. This is that sacredness of your connection, the recognition and acknowledgement of the sacredness of your connection, the depth of your connection. This divine masculine, I feel like they're learning not to run from themselves anymore, and they're learning not to run from this connection anymore. It's beautiful, shifting energy here. Divine feminine, what do we need to know for you? Divine feminine, what do we need to know for you? Justice, balance. You have two energies of balance. You have the full moon in Libra, find a balance with the scales there as well, and you have the justice energy. Everything in your life is balancing. This connection is balancing. Again, depending on where you are in your journey, depending on which path is unfolding for you, this could be the original counterpart that is coming in and bringing justice to what you've always intuitively known and felt, or this could be another counterpart that is kind of bringing justice to what you've intuitively known and felt. Your sacred union is unfolding either way. This is a divine balance. This is a divine justice that's coming in for you. I'm also getting this energy of the cup there. Number one, the sword. So truth, clarity coming through for you, but in this energy of love. It's like the Ace of Cups energy. What else do we need to know for the divine feminine? Strength. Lionsgate. Lionsgate feels extremely pivotal. Now, when I say the Lionsgate feels pivotal, it doesn't mean that there's going to necessarily be a physical manifestation of something. There might not be physical communication. There might not be a physical meeting. If you're meeting somebody new, like a new counterpart, doesn't mean that there's going to be like somebody new coming in then. But there's a shift in the energy that's being created. And there's an anchoring in of that shift that you'll be feeling with the Lionsgate energy. So allow yourself to release expectations and allow yourself to open up to all possibilities. Because I feel like with this energy, truly anything is possible. your job, Divine Feminines, is to trust in your inner knowing. You have gone through trials and trials and trials, tests and tests and tests to know yourself. And we've always said, it's like the Oracle of Delphi has always said, know yourself. That is where your true sacredness comes in, to know yourself, to connect with yourself. And that's where you tune into your heart space. That's where you tune into your intuition. That's where you use your discernment when it comes to the energy. Because the more that you're able to trust your intuition as far as the energy that you're receiving, the more you're going to be able to stay in alignment with your path and how that unfolds. Okay, beautiful. And we have the Nine of Cups at the bottom. Beautiful. Okay, I want to end with, let's end with this deck. How is the masculine feeling about the Divine Feminine right now? How's the masculine feeling about the Divine Feminine right now? I do want to say too, if you're watching this for like the global perspective, then think about this as far as the patriarchy and the masculine and feminine energies and what was created there, and how everything is shifting. There's more of a balance that's coming in for feminine and masculine energy. This does not deny the masculine energy, but it helps to lift the feminine energy so that she works in partnership. There's an honoring of both. We've talked about that as well. I'm going to put all these links in the description box, especially if you're new here, welcome. That might be helpful for you. All right, Divine Masculine. How are you feeling about the Divine Feminine right now? What do you want the Divine Feminine to know? Security. Divine Feminine feels like home. The Divine Feminine has always felt like home. There was getting a sense of fear there around that because it almost felt like it was too good to be true. But the Divine Feminine has always brought with her this sense of safety, this sense of security. But again, it's almost like the Divine Masculine didn't quite know what to do with that energy because they hadn't experienced that in the past. They hadn't experienced that kind of unconditional love in the past. And so they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know if they could trust it. And I feel like there's this energy of learning to trust it and wanting to trust it and being open to trusting it again. Divine Feminine, how are you feeling about the Divine Masculine? Divine Feminine, how are you feeling about the Divine Masculine? Divine Feminine, how are you feeling about the Divine Masculine right now? Interesting. We have fear. I'm getting almost like the reverse as it flew out in reverse. And communication at the bottom of the deck. You might have been feeling detached. You might have been feeling like, I don't know if I even want to talk to this person, or I might be afraid of communication. If this is somebody new, you might be afraid of meeting somebody new. There might be some sense of an underlying fear or belief that is clearing right now, but I do feel like the energy is clearing. I do feel like you're getting ready either for communication, to receive communication, or you're getting ready to embark on a new journey with somebody, to meet somebody, to whichever your path is. So take that as it resonates for you. And let's end with a final message. I'm going to use my conversations deck. Okay. Divine Masculine, what do you want to say to the Divine Feminine? Divine Masculine, what do you want to say to the Divine Feminine right now? What would you want the Divine Feminine to know? I don't understand how I could fall so fast. Yeah, there was a fear there. There was a sense of fear. It was very overwhelming for the Divine Masculine because they felt this energy from the onset, but they didn't know what to do with it. And it's almost like it scared them because they felt so deeply and they had not experienced the depth of that emotion before. And again, there was this sense of, can I trust it? Is this safe? It's almost like their trauma response kicked in, or almost like their ego kicked in. That was like, can this be real? Can this be true? And all the while, they're feeling the depth of this connection, and their soul is saying, yes, this is real. Yes, this is true. Yes, you can trust in this love. But it's like the ego and the old patterns and the old triggers came up to the surface. Maybe old templates, old relationships, etc., old beliefs came up to the surface, and that triggered them into running. Divine Feminines, you've experienced that in your own kind of way. That's the first part of the journey. That's the triggered part of the journey, where you activate each other in order to clear all of that energy out. Now you're beginning to understand this journey. Now you're beginning to understand that was for the clearing, for the growth. And now you're beginning to really feel into the safety and the security of the connection, and learning to trust in that again, wanting to trust in that again, wanting to open yourself up to the love, and not being afraid of the depth of that love. Because love is deep. Love has depth. Love is infinite. Love is not a surface thing. It's not a shallow thing. And I feel like this masculine is really beginning to allow themselves to go deep into their feelings, especially the feelings that they have for the Divine Feminine. And Divine Feminines, what do you want the masculine to know? I've loved you since before you even knew. She's always loved you. She always will love you. She's loved you before you even knew. All right, it is very loud outside. Welcome to suburbia. I've had no idea it would ever be this loud. So we're going to end this here. I am sending you all so much love, so much light, and we'll be back with more Sacred Union and Ascension relationship energy updates coming soon. Lots of love and lots of light. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.